everyone, how's it going? I hope you guys are doing really well. Welcome back to a new video, and today I'm going to be building a house for a single dad with triplets. So the house is going to have only 2 bedrooms, so the triplets are sharing a room. I've decided to go for 3 girls, as I thought it would be a little bit easier and I can make the room like super cute and pink and everything like that. And then the dad has a room. There is 1 bathroom, a big living room, and a dining kitchen combined. And then there is a separate garage, and then there's a back garden. So as always, if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you have not already. Check out some of my other videos after this one if you would like to. And yeah, just saying guys, so much for taking the time to check out this video. Leave comments, let me know what you think of it, all that kind of stuff. I really do appreciate any and all the support you guys can leave the video. Little comment with an emoji, a like, anything like that. I really do appreciate it. So the shell for this house I have been sitting on for quite a while. I've said in a few videos I have like a bunch of shells. Sometimes I will literally just like build a shell for an idea later down the line, and this happens to be one of those shells, and I've been sitting on this one for a really long time. I don't actually know when I made this one, but it's been there for a while. And the whole idea with like a single dad and triplets, it was just really random. Honestly, I didn't know what to do with this house. I was having a little bit of one of those times where I wasn't sure what to build. I had like so many different ideas and everything like that, but I just decided to ignore those and go for something that was just a little bit random. Sometimes I do that. I don't know if you guys do that, if you have like if you do what I do, where you have like a bunch of shells, where if you like want to build a house or something and you don't want to build a new one, you can just like choose one that you've already got and then like create a theme or whatnot from it. But I do that sometimes, and this was one of those times where I had this idea, but I didn't want to build a whole new house, so I was just going through my list of shells and all of the homes that I've got, and I decided to pick this one to do this theme with. This shell, I think when I first built it, my idea for it was going to be more of like a modern home, and honestly I'm not actually super happy with the shell shape in general. As I said, it's been one that's been sitting for a while. I don't know exactly when I made it, but I feel like I feel like the living room, or what I have as the living room, is just really big. And I don't know if it was the theme that I was going for, which was making me not like know how to fill the space or anything like that or whatnot. But the living room and the kitchen of this build is like, sorry, they're both really big spaces to me, and I wasn't quite sure how to like really lay them out or anything like that. But we got there in the end. That I have finished the build, obviously, otherwise you guys won't be seeing this video. But yeah, I wasn't really sure how to really lay it out. Okay, so I just wanted to interject here a little bit and about the shell of this house. So the shell was made quite a while ago. As I said before in previous videos, sometimes I just like to build shells, so I like have them so I can choose from them if I'm struggling to come up with something or anything like that. And this shell, I was racking my brain for the longest time because it's been one of the ones that I've had for quite a while, but it is actually inspired by a image that I saw, which I will put on screen. And so I wanted to share that because I always like to, especially if I'm inspired by something, I definitely want to share that with you guys, even if it's just like the front of a building. This is the third build that I've had where I've been inspired by literally just seeing like the front of a house. But this one, it is slightly different to the image, as I did decide to to add a garage, but as I mentioned, this build was built quite a while ago and it was just sitting and sitting. So normally I like to make a note if like they're inspired by something, but I actually completely forgot about this one, so I apologize for that. I just wanted to interject here and say that this is inspired by this image that I saw. So I wanted to share that, as I always really do like to add in if a build is inspired by, or if it's like a full floor plan or anything like that. I will always try my best to share that at the beginning of the video, and I actually completely forgot about this one, so I'm super sorry about that. It was just, I think it was because it was sitting for such a long time, and then I decided to do this theme with it. So yeah, this build, the front of it was inspired by this image that I saw. But yeah, I just really wasn't sure how to lay it out, and after putting in different bits of furniture and stuff, I was still thinking that the rooms were a little bit big to what sort of like I put in them. It's definitely like, it's more than functional and everything like that. Like I like to do, you know, it's a functional space. If you pick this up, put it in real life, I think it would be absolutely fine. But it was just, I don't know if it was the furniture pieces or maybe the theme, because the theme, I wanted to go off of like, you know, a single dad with triplets, and he's not like really well off, but he's not like really poor. He's doing what he can for his family, you know, everything like that. So there's things around the house that are a little bit run down. The furniture isn't necessarily all like matching. There's like some stains and, you know, high traffic areas. Some of the furniture is a little bit beat up and stuff like that. You know, you got triplets running around, spilling drinks, spilling food, colouring on the walls, anything like that. So I really wanted to try and make it not a super like modern, really clean and tidy house. I wanted it to feel a little bit more like, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on. Maybe he struggles to keep on top of everything because he's working, trying to provide for his family and everything like that. I was thinking in my head as well, this is so weird to do because I feel like this is definitely more of like maybe a Sims thing, because obviously like in House Flipper we can use the houses in some sort of respect, like we can sleep, but you don't actually get like a chance to live in them. You know, it's not The Sims or anything where, you know, you live in it anyway. But I was thinking that the job the dad could have is like a carpenter or something construction wise, because I was thinking, you know, maybe later down the line when the like kids get a little bit older, he could build an extension to the house. And that's actually what I've tried to insinuate that is maybe going to happen towards the side of the house. During the tour and everything, you guys will hopefully see it and hopefully it will make sense. But I've tried to insinuate that like the side of the house where the dad's bedroom, the bathroom, and the kids' bedroom is, that side of the house is potentially going to have an extension on it, or, you know, the garage could be turned into something. I put like some bricks and stuff around. But yeah, sorry, I'm getting way off a track. To begin with, obviously, I do like the little tour and everything that I like to do at the beginning of my builds. And to start off this one, I actually start off a little bit in the garden. So starting off in the garden, the like entrance section, yeah, I guess like the front garden and whatnot, it's a lot bigger than what I was expecting. I feel like sometimes with House Flipper, I either have the houses a little bit too far back from the path, or I have them too close to the path. I feel like I can never create a happy medium where there's like a decent amount of space between like the front door or something and then like the path, because you don't want a house that's like right on top of the road or like a public path, anything like that. And this one, the front garden for this is like, it's huge, but yeah, I just tried to fill it up with lots of plants and stuff like that. Maybe he likes to do a little bit of gardening. There's some bushes, there's trees, and then we obviously have the drive that leads to the garage. And the house is a couple of bricks off the floor, so there's actually like a tiny little bit of a deck before you get in, like before you get to the front door, sorry. So it's like a little step. And yeah, the front garden is just kind of, I think because it was so big, I didn't know what to do with it. And I think that the shape of the house that I went for didn't really help. I don't know. I'm not too sold on the shape of the house. Like, I like it that it's got shape, that it's not just like a rectangle, but um I don't know if I absolutely love I don't know if I love the shape. I definitely think depending on what sort of like color scheme and stuff you go for, it would probably definitely suit a really sort of like modern style house, I think. But yeah, I don't know. I just had it and I didn't want to make a full-on new shell, so I just thought that I would utilize one of the shells that I had. But yeah, the front garden is just a huge driveway and bushes, plants, flowers, trees. There is a little section to one side, like if you're looking at the house to the left side, you have a section where I've put down a bunch of dirt and rubble and sort of like a wheelbarrow, stuff like that, just to insinuate the fact that there is either an extension that has already been made, or he's just trying to make the front garden more appealing, and there's just like some rubbish and rubble over to one side that is tucked away out in the corner until he can get rid of it. But yeah, the garden is pretty simple. Oh, sorry, the front garden is pretty simple. The back garden has a lot of stuff in it. It's just a bit random, but I'll talk about that when we get to it. So after I have pretty much done the front garden section, I move on to the first part of the main house, which is the entrance. And the entrance, I just wanted it to be a pretty simple entrance. I used some wardrobes to act as like storage for coats and stuff, and then I used the floating shelves, which I always say are like the Calyx units from IKEA. I used those and I put a couple of those along the wall, 4 of them, and then put a cushion on top of that to act as a little bench, so the storage for those, like I like to do, could be used for shoes or just other little things. And then there's just a mirror that goes up in the little entranceway, as well as an umbrella stand. And then later on, which you guys will see in the tour, I do add some like bags and stuff like that for the kids that have just been like placed down. They've come in, checked their bags down, and then they've gone off to do whatever it is that they want to do. The color scheme for the house as well, I had absolutely nothing in mind when I started to do this build. I just kind of like really went with the flow. So it's kind of random. It's a little bit neutral. It's a little bit, there's lots of browns, so like just neutral colors, whites, creams, that sort of stuff. Maybe like the whole interior design stuff is not on the top of his list, as long as he has a roof over his head and stuff like that. That's why I wanted a lot of the furniture to be kind of like maybe mismatched to each other, maybe a couple of different shades of browns and just different styles of furniture. Just like got your hands on what you can for the moment, it does the job, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, the whole house as a whole, pretty much, it does turn out kind of very neutral, light browns, dark browns, especially the sort of like living section. I have the same floor go throughout like pretty much the whole house, the whole main section. The kitchen does have tiled flooring, and then the bedrooms both have carpet, and the bathroom obviously has like tile floor as well. But yeah, the color scheme for the house is very, very neutral and brown. I don't know what it is. I did not have one in mind, and I feel like I did not have a color scheme in mind, but I wanted the house to feel sort of like, I wanted it to feel super realistic, and it's like a house. It's not going to be perfect. There is going to be furniture pieces that don't really match each other. The walls aren't necessarily going to be like perfect. The colors aren't necessarily going to all match together, that sort of thing. I really wanted that kind of like, I don't think 90s, maybe it's giving a little bit of like early 2000s maybe, but I don't usually as well use wallpapers. But for the living room, rather than just having like all plain walls, I do decide to use a striped wallpaper, which is not something that I really like, but for the purpose of the build and the theme and everything that I was trying to go for, I definitely think that it suits it enough, and I'm happy with the like wallpaper stripes. It's only on one wall, so it's not like everywhere. I was gonna put it everywhere, but I thought maybe that might be a little bit too much. So the wall that ends up having the TV on it is actually the wall that to begin with, there it's covered in windows, but I decided to move the windows to either side and then put a TV in the middle, and I think that that was the better choice. This is what I say sometimes when I build like a shell and stuff. I put the windows and doors and bits and bobs like that where I think at that moment like they work and stuff, but then when I actually come to do the build and put in furniture and choose colors and everything like that, I can decide to like move things. Very rarely do I move walls. Sometimes I do, especially if I can't fit everything in, or I just think that I want it to be laid out a little bit different. Rarely I move walls, but moving windows and stuff like that I definitely do a lot when I actually come to do said like build and everything. So as you come into the living room section from the hallway, there's a, like, as you just come straight through the door, to the left there's like a little sideboard where is, like I always like to do, a little place for you to put your keys and any post and anything like that. There's a mirror on that wall as well, and then pretty much right in front of you is the main living room section. So I have a big sofa and I put down a rug, and I use the it's not the change color tool, I don't know what it's called, but it's the one where you can actually make items look damaged, and I have started to use that a little bit in different builds as well, as like stains and some rubbish and stuff like that, just to make certain places look a little bit more realistic or homey, like not everything is super perfect. So I actually end up using that on the rug, and it makes it look as if it's, it's stained pretty much, and it's a little bit dirty, and it's like it has been cleaned, but it's leftover stuff where things have got spilt or crayons have been down, that kind of thing. And I really like how it turns out, which I feel like might be a bit weird to say that I like it, that it looks like destroyed and not aesthetically pleasing, I guess. But like I always say, for the theme, I think that was a really good choice, and I really haven't messed with that tool pretty much really at all up until quite recently. So that's another tool that I'm definitely gonna keep in mind for different builds, especially builds that I want to be like a little bit rough around the edges and stuff like that. So I've been messing around with that in this one. I use it on some of the furniture pieces as well, like the ones that are wood, to make them seem a little bit rough around the edges. Maybe a lot of the furniture is second hand, which you use what you can. But the living room, as I mentioned, to me it feels a little bit big, and I think because of the theme, I didn't want tons of like furniture pieces, like a big nice plush corner sofa or anything like that. And I think if I would have done that for this build, I think it would have definitely filled up the space a little bit more. But with the theme and stuff, I didn't want to go down the route of having like a really nice big like corner sofa, something a little bit fancy. I wanted to just go for a standard sort of like a 3-seater, and then in the corner there is another chair, which is a different kind of chair to the 3-seater. As I say, I wanted things to be a little bit mismatched, furniture wise and stuff like that. And then there's one corner, so like if you come through the door from the entrance, to the left, as I said, you have the sideboard table, but beyond that you have an archway that then leads into a really small corridor which has the bathroom and the 2 bedrooms in it. But before you get to that, there's this corner which I did not know what to do with. And I think that's one of the things where I was thinking to myself, this house, like the living room section is just really, really big. But what I decided to do is in that corner, I just decided to stick down a bunch of toys and play sets and toy chests, stuff like that. So it's just like a little corner where the kids can play if they don't want to play in the bedroom. But I've also put around the living room a lot of toys and like plushies and just different things like that. There's crayons scattered around, there's board games, there's dolls, there's just a bunch of stuff to like drive home the theme of the build, but also make it feel like lived in, and it's not always gonna be, and not everything's always gonna be packed away and tidy. Like the kids are just gonna make a mess. So there's just like toys and everything like that scattered around, and I do really like how this build comes out. These style of builds are not normally a go-to of mine. They're something that is really it's different for me because they're not something that I gravitate towards doing. Like if you guys have been here for a while, you know that my sort of like preferred style of homes are normally just the ones that have like, I mean, this one does have 2 bedrooms, but I normally make homes that are more for sort of like just like 2 people, like a couple where they have like an office or something like that. That's normally the style of builds that I do. I don't normally sort of do homes where they have like young children or stuff like that. I can do them, I have done them, but they're not necessarily the type of houses that I really, really like to do. I do them occasionally, and I do like how they've turned out. Like most of them, I've done one with a single dad and a teen. I've done another one with a single mom and 3 sons, and then I've done a few other sort of like family orientated homes where they have like kids. And I've done one with a, what was it? Oh, it was the house you get in House Number 2, like the first house. I never know how to say it. Paces. I feel like I always say it wrong, but I did that one with a couple and a new baby. Like they just moved into a new house. So I'll link some of those in the description, but the majority of my builds are not normally centered around sort of like big family homes or like family homes with young kids. It's just not something that I gravitate towards doing. I think I'd always rather have like an office or like a game room or something like that. But I really do enjoy doing these sometimes, as it's something very different and out of my comfort zone. So I will definitely continue to do more builds that are like this, or like centered around like more family orientated stuff, but they're just more like scattered in between the other builds that I really like to do. But do let me know in the comments if you enjoyed these sort of like family style builds from me. I would love to know. But I will leave some other sort of family orientated builds in the description if you wanted to check them out after this one. But anyway, back to the living room. It's just there's a lot of stuff that ends up being put around, lots of books and boxes and games. I put a little dance mat down because I thought they could have like game nights and stuff like that. I was just really trying to put as much stuff in the living room as possible to drive it home that there is, like, there's a family here and it's just not always going to be perfect. I pulled out one of the drawers to like the TV unit and I put a bunch of stuff in that as well. You guys will see that like later in the video and during the tour and stuff, because I like to put a lot of the like bulk things into the builds, but a lot of the sort of nitty-gritty details, going in and placing tons of like decorative items and the stains and stuff like that, it really does take some time with me. So I put in some of it, but then the majority of it, I feel like it's also a nice surprise. If you watch the beginning part of the videos, or you just like skip through them, or you'd like to listen to me do the little like chat about them or whatever, then once I'm done, you can go and see the tour and you can see like how it's all come together. It's just the way that I prefer to do these videos. Otherwise we will be there for a really, really, really long time watching me choose all the decorative bits and the colors and everything like that. So I do like to do a lot of the little tiny little bits and bobs sort of like off camera, and then I feel like it's a nice surprise when it comes to the tour and the cinematics and screenshots and stuff, and you get to see it all for like how it ends up being. So it's a nice sort of surprise. But when I am done with the living room section, I move on to the kitchen. So the kitchen is sort of like a kitchen dine-in combo, and as I said, I think the like base section of the living room and the base section of the kitchen, they're both really quite big, and the kitchen I feel like for me is a little bit too big, but I didn't want to mess too much with like changing the shell. I just wanted to use what was there. But the kitchen for me just seems like really big, and kind of like there's a big empty space in the middle between the two sets of counters, because in the kitchen I have one side which has like the sink and the fridge and the dishwasher, and then the other side of the kitchen is a little L shape, and that has the oven and a huge amount of counter space for like prepping lunches, dinners, all that kind of stuff. And then there is a dining room table, and I push it up against the wall near the windows to the kitchen. I think it's an okay use of space. I didn't want like a breakfast bar or anything in this house. I knew I definitely wanted a dining table, but I didn't want a breakfast bar in this one. But the kitchen just feels like so big. I think it's because from the kitchen there's like a tiny little corridor that leads you to the garage and the garden, and I feel like if that wasn't there, then it would make the kitchen a little bit easier for me to lay out. I don't know. I just feel like it's a little bit too big. Like, I'm happy with it, but I just feel like it's a little bit too big. Do let me know in the comments if you think it's a little bit big. But in the kitchen as well, there is a cupboard which I have set up as like a little pantry with some food, but also different appliances that you just want like packed away, out of the way, some bottles of water and soda and all that kind of stuff. And the kitchen counters, or like the theme of the kitchen, again, it's quite neutral. Yeah, kind of like neutral cream and white. The floor is like it's like a I think it's like a cream. It's like a cream marble sort of like, and I've done a diamond texture on it, and I think that it's okay. It's definitely not something that I would like, but as I say, for the purpose of the theme and everything, and kind of like going for it's not a super perfect, everything has to be matching and, you know, clean, minimalist, very modern, that sort of thing. It's definitely not that kind of house. But the kitchen counters, I decided to go for a wood countertop, and then the cupboards are a white, and I use again the tool to make the cupboards look a little bit and like dirty or patchy, just to give again the theme of everything not being super perfect. So I go around, and the cupboards end up having a little bit of texture to them, which I really like. And then there's some shelves in the kitchen, as well as some cupboards, you know, for plates, all that kind of stuff. There's some appliances that I put out as well. And then I also go around and I put out some lunch boxes, which I think was a pretty fun idea to do. So he's like packing the lunch for the kids for either that morning or the next day, and then gonna pop them in the fridge, all that kind of stuff. And he's packing his own lunch. There's some like groceries and stuff that are on the side. There's a frying pan. There's breakfast on the table with toast and fruit and juice and all that kind of stuff. And with the dining table in the kitchen, I wanted the chairs to be mismatched. So the dining table has 3 different styles of chairs on it, and I really like that they're sort of like different. They're different colors. They're different like styles, everything like that, and the table is also a different style. So I definitely wanted some mismatched furniture in the kitchen as well. And I really do like how it turns out, even though I do think that the kitchen is a little bit it's a little bit big, like just the floor space. I feel like between the like oven and the sink. I mean it's like a walkway as well, but I just feel like it's a little bit too big. But I'm fine with it, and I didn't want to mess around with trying to make it smaller, or like, you know, because the kitchen backs onto the garage and the living room, and I didn't want to make the living room any bigger or anything like that. But so I'm happy with it, but just as I was building it, putting in the counters, I was just thinking this kitchen is really really big, but because it's kind of like a walkway between the garage, the garden, and then like the living room, I feel like it's not so bad. So with the kitchen out of the way, I then move on to the garage. And the garage, I wanted it to be this place that is pretty messy. There's a lot of stuff everywhere. There's tools, there's just loads of like stuff everywhere pretty much. There's rubbish that needs to be taken out. It's got like a dirty floor, and the walls aren't like super pristine or anything like that. Kind of like a little bit of a man cave or a workshop, just like, you know, it's a working dad. He's trying to do what he can and stuff. And I put in some things like cement and buckets of paint and everything like that to try and go with the theme of it being like he's either a carpenter or he's somebody who works in construction, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of different bits and bobs around in the garage. There's some fishing stuff and tools, and I do actually end up putting the washing machine and tumble dryer in the garage, because when I move on to the bathroom, I was struggling with the bathroom layout for some reason, but I'll get to that in a minute, because we do the bathroom after I do the garage. But yeah, I do end up putting in the washing machine and tumble dryer in the garage instead. But I knew I wanted the garage to be the sort of place where the dad would go and just chill. There's some broken furniture, or there's some spare furniture that he's got from other places and he's gonna fix them up. There's spare tires, trash. There's some board games, and there's some pictures and stuff that maybe his kids have drew him that he's put up on the walls and different things like that. There's a dartboard, and just, yeah, the garage is just a whole messy place, but it's messy but functional. Obviously the car can sit in the garage if needs be. It needs to get like work done in it or anything like that. But yeah, the garage I just really wanted to be is a little bit rough and rugged, and there's some big work bags and just different things like that. There's some bikes. I do put some bikes around the front of the house as well. There's also like a little exercise machine that I put in there, a mirror, some weights. Maybe rather than working out in his bedroom when he's got a little bit of time, he goes into the garage and does a little bit of workout. That's also where I put the lawnmower, and just the garage is just full of different things. I've also put down some rubbish, like some cans, and then as I've put down some stains and everything like that in the garage. And as I always say, you guys will see like the full effect in the tour and the screenshots and everything like that. But yeah, the garage is just a big sort of like combination of a workout space, a workspace, a garage obviously for a car storage, and like a workshop. It's just a big mixed bag, but there's lots of shelves and storage and stuff like that. So after the garage, I move on to the bathroom, and for some reason the bathroom was giving me a little bit of trouble. It wasn't like it was an awkward size or anything. It's literally just like a square. It's just a square room. But for me, I don't know why it was just giving me so much trouble. I could not figure out the layout for the life of me, but I do manage to figure it out in the end. So the bathroom ends up having a bathtub with a shower. I knew I would definitely wanted a bathtub because I was going for like the single dad and triplets. Now, the age of the triplets, it doesn't really matter, but with all of like the toys and stuff that I've put around their house and in like the bedroom and stuff, I feel like they're obviously like they're quite younger, so I was thinking a bathtub would be the better option. And so I knew I wanted a bathtub, and I couldn't fit a bathtub and a separate shower, so I did what I like to do, and I did a bathtub with a shower combo, and I put in a glass shower wall. And then obviously there's a sink, there's a toilet, there's a cupboard for storage. This sink, I used the like the kitchen counter, the kitchen counters and a kitchen counter sink, sorry, as the bathroom sink. Sometimes I prefer that than the sinks that are like specifically for the bathroom. Some of the bathroom sinks I feel like are so small. I feel like they're like doll's house like sinks. I don't know what it is. I feel like sometimes the sizing for the items is a little bit random. So I will always normally have like a certain couple of sinks that I use for the bathroom. I think that's why I like to make like custom the custom sinks and stuff in bathrooms a lot of the time, because my favorite sinks are the ones that are literally just the sinks. They don't really have like cupboards or anything attached to them. So it's like I'll either use one of them and build a makeshift like sink unit, or I will use this sink and the kitchen cupboards from the kitchen sets, because I think that they also work really well for bathrooms. So that's what I actually did with this build. I used a kitchen set to use as the bathroom sink, and there's a section in the bathroom near the bath and I could not figure out for the life of me what I wanted to do in that section. It was like the perfect section for a washing machine and tumble dryer, and I did try a washing machine and tumble dryer in there, but I was just hating the way that it was looking. So I do end up so like completely changing it and making a little cupboard from scratch. I don't end up showing it because as the bathroom was just taking me the longest time, and I think the bathrooms are one of those rooms that I personally don't like to spend a lot of time in. They're not my favorite room to make, and they're just not one of the rooms that I really like to spend a lot of time in. So because it was giving me so much trouble and I couldn't figure it out, I do end up making a sort of like a storage cupboard. So you guys will see that pop in when we get to the bathroom. But that I just used the kitchen I just used kitchen cupboards to create that, and the corkboard piece to create sort of like the sides and the top and stuff, and it has a little space on underneath it, so I put in some boxes, maybe just like extra storage. But I could not figure out for the life of me what to do with that section of the bathroom, and that's when I also decided to stick the washing machine and tumble dryer in the garage, because I was just hating the way that it was looking in the bathroom. But I got there in the end, and I do like how the bathroom turns out in this build. It's I don't know, it's not like the greatest color scheme, I don't know. It's kind of like got beige cream walls with a green leaf pattern And then there's also sort of like light blue tiles, and then you've got the wood for the cabinets, and then the white countertop and bath and stuff like that. So it's very much a mixed bag. But again, to go along with the theme, not everything has to be perfect. You know, it's functional, and that's what matters the most. So yeah, that's what matters the most. But I really do actually end up liking the like little storage cupboard that I make in the bathroom. It's got 4 different sections to it, so it's got like 2 cupboards at the top, 1 cupboard in the middle, and then a cupboard at the bottom, and then a gap. But I do end up really liking how it turns out, because sometimes it is nicer to sort of custom make storage cupboards or random things like that. Sometimes they do end up looking a lot nicer than just the ones that are in the game, and I do think that that is one of the things that I absolutely love about House Flipper 2 is, you know, just being able to put things together or merge things together to create sort of bigger cupboards or anything like that. And the resizable corkboard piece and the little resizable square come in really handy for, you know, different things like that as well. And yeah, I just really like how the cupboard turns out in the bathroom, which out of everything in the bathroom, I don't know if that's weird for that to be my favorite part, but the bathroom also just has some little decorative bits in it. We've got some perfumes, toilet roll, there's a picture, there's some storage boxes, we've got some cleaning supplies obviously that are like up out of the way, and just some like towels, flannels, sponges, that kind of stuff around the bath in 3 different colors to go with like the kids. And then there's also one for the dad. And yeah, the bathroom is just it's a bathroom. The bathroom is pretty simple once I get there, but it took me a while. It took me a while to get there. So when I'm done with the bathroom, I then move on to the triplets bedroom. So as I said, I decided to go for 3 girls, and the bedroom ends up being very pink and purple and very colorful. And I decided to go with one like set of bunk beds and then a single bed. I was gonna do 2 sets of bunk beds, but I thought it would, like, you know, maybe they would have like a friend that would stay over or something. But I thought that it was better to go with just 1 set of bunk beds and then a single bed. Whoever has a single bed, I would say, is the lucky one. But that also helps with the space saving as well, as the room isn't like massive, but just having the bunk bed and then the 1 single bed, there's enough floor space left to like play and stuff like that. And I was contemplating with the bedroom to try and fit in 3 desks, so each of the girls had a desk of their own, but I couldn't get that to work in the end, so I just completely scrapped it. And if they have work that needs to get done, you know, they have a perfectly good dining room table in the kitchen, so that's where they could get some work and homework and drawing and everything like that done. So the color scheme for the bedroom is very pink and purple, and I really wasn't sure what to do with the like walls in that room. I knew I wanted a wall pattern. I didn't want the walls to just be like all plain like I normally do, because it's not super often that I really mess around with the wallpaper for like the houses that I do, unless I'm going for like a specific theme or it's mid-century or stuff like that. I don't really mess around with the wallpaper too much, and I think that's something that I really would like to do in future builds, is to try and use the different wallpapers more, because there's so many like nice ones. I use a lot of the patterns for like different things like cushions and stuff like that, but for wallpaper I normally has to be like a really specific build. But for this one, I knew I definitely wanted to use some wallpaper in the girls' bedroom, and the wallpaper that I end up settling on is one of my actual favorites. It's the flowers, and they just remind me of like a 60s like hippie vibes. I really love that wallpaper. I use it a lot in my mid-century builds, or if I just want something that's a little bit cutesy. I absolutely love that flower wallpaper. So I end up just going with pink flowers with a yellow middle, and then the background is white. And with the girls' bedroom as well, the girls' room also has some paneling in it. It kind of stops when you get to the window. I don't know if that's weird. That's maybe probably a little bit weird. But it goes around sort of like where the beds are. And if you have been here for a while, or if you've seen some of my other videos, I do not like paneling. I don't like really doing it in game, and I definitely don't like it in real life. I don't know what it is. It's just something that I've never really liked. I don't know, I've just never really liked it. But I can do it, and sometimes when I have done it in builds, I definitely think, depending on the theme, I did some sort of like paneling in the house where I did new parents with like a new baby. I've also done some paneling in the one that I made an old sort of like Regency style house. I've done some paneling in that, and I have done some paneling previously in a couple of builds, but it's just not something that I personally like. But I did do it in this one, and it's like whenever I've done them in builds, I do end up liking how they look for the specific builds that they're in, if this makes sense. But just like personally, if I was building a house, or like my dream house, or the houses that I normally do, paneling is definitely something that I don't normally like to gravitate towards, just because it's one of those things that I just don't really like. I don't know what it is about it. I just feel like it's unnecessary, if that makes sense. Let me know in the comments if you do like paneling. But for this build, I wanted something that would separate the flower wallpaper and the sort of like the pink color. I didn't just want to have the wallpaper sort of like go three, I think it's like 3/4, or like it's not half, it's a little bit over halfway down the wall. But I didn't want the flower wallpaper to just get to a certain point and for there to be just like a clear line between where the wallpaper stops and then where the paint starts. So I was going to just go for a border, but I wasn't really liking how that looked, so then I resorted to doing paneling, and I'm fine with how it turns out. It's the same, the panels are the same color as the wall, so it's just like a nice pink color. But I know I only wanted the wallpaper to be sort of like half, and I didn't want it to be the full wall because I thought that might be a little bit too much. So I did do some paneling. Let me know if you think that it looks okay. I think that it looks okay, but just paneling in general is never normally something that I think to myself that I will do in a build. It's just not something that I gravitate towards. But do let me know in the comments what you think of the paneling in the girls' bedroom. Is it weird that it just stops at the windows? A part of me thinks that I should have definitely carried it on, but I don't know. Let me know. Let me know in the comments. But yeah, the girls' room does have some paneling, and it's just a very cutesy and pink. I used a lot of the pictures that are in sort of like the base game, so we've got the photo of the cat and the bear, and then the little hedgehogs, and I just put in a bunch of books in the girls' room as well. The same sort of like color scheme throughout the girls' room is sort of pinks, purples, beiges, light wood, and the curtains I end up putting up are purple with butterflies, and I think that they're super cute. There's also a rug in the middle of the room which does have some stains on it, whether it be spilt drinks, spilt paints, or anything like that, just to try and you know, again, drive home that theme of it being a usable space. With this one as well, I've done something that I've done similar to the living room in this build, as well as the real Japanese floor plan that I did in the boys' bedroom for that build. I pulled out one of the drawers in the bedroom and I filled it with like different games and like craft supplies, different paints and stuff like that. And I've done that same sort of thing here in the girls' bedroom for this build, where I've pulled out one of the drawers and I've put in like a little basket, and it's just full with paints, paintbrushes and all that kind of stuff to get a little bit crafty. And to go along with it, obviously there's like more stains that are on the sides, like the chest of drawers and just different things like that. I've scattered a bunch of crayons around in different colours, and yeah, just trying to make it a livable space as much as possible. Just like a pace, you know, you got 3 kids running around, so it's gonna get a little bit messy, and it's not always gonna stay in like tip top condition, but I really like how that room turns out as a whole, especially the flower wallpaper. I absolutely love that flower wallpaper. It's one of my favorite wallpapers, but I use it, like I'm pretty sure I just mentioned that I use it a lot more on like cushions and things like that instead, but it is a really nice it's a really nice wallpaper. Some other little bits that I stick in the girls' bedroom is just little decorative bits. I put up some of the little succulent plant pots, like the fox, and obviously put like a little plant in it. The little mushroom statue, I don't really know what it is, but it's like a little mushroom like statue, or I don't know, it's not a figurine or something. I don't know really what it is, just decorative bit. It's the mushroom decorative bit, and then on top of the wardrobe I put some boxes and stuff for just extra storage, everything like that. But yeah, really happy with how that room turns out. And then when I'm done with the girls' room, I move on to the dad's room. So with the dad's room, I wanted it to be a lot darker than the rest of the house. So I wanted a lot of like dark browns and black, grey, a little bit of white, that kind of thing. And I wanted some plants in there. I just wanted that room to feel like, I don't like it, just darker to the rest of the house. It's his little like sanctuary where he can go and relax on his own once like the kids have gone to bed or whatnot, and he doesn't want to be in the chaos of the living room or anything like that. Obviously he has the garage as well, but the garage is more like, you know, work and storage and stuff like that. So I wanted the bedroom to be really, so like it's calm, but it is also like very dark. And then in the bedroom I just put a double bed. There's not very much that goes into the dad's room, but you know, it's like more than enough. Double bed, 2 bedside tables. I do put in a wardrobe, chest of drawers, and a TV. There's also a little desk that I put in. Now it's kind of a desk. I don't actually know what it is. It's kind of like a sideboard piece, and it actually sort of like snaps into the wall whenever you place it on the wall, because it only has like 2 legs on it, so it's like it's built into the wall. You'll know the piece, I think, hopefully. Anyway, so I just put in that little like makeshift desk with a laptop, nothing too like big or anything like that, just a little laptop if he needs to use it for anything. I'm still really like thinking about this as if it's like somebody's real house, which I do find funny sometimes, but it's just the way that I do the builds. And then above the desk I use one of the shelves that has all of the like different compartments in it, and I just fill that up with a bunch of little different bits and bobs. And yeah, the dad's bedroom is just really pretty. It's quite simple. There's definitely decorations that go into it, but it's nothing too crazy. I wanted to try to keep that room as a sort of like calm as possible, and it's towards the front of the house. It's in like one of the it's the second sort of like a bump out to the front of the house, so maybe he made the room a little bit bigger with an extension or something, I don't know. But yeah, it's towards the front of the house, and I just wanted it to be a calm place where he could go and chill out on his own if he wanted to when the kids are asleep or at school or anything like that. Again, thinking far too much into this, but yeah, yeah, that is the dad's room. And then when I'm done with the dad's room, I move on to the back garden. Quickly before we move on to like talking about the back garden, there is also some like laundry baskets and stuff in the hallway between like the dad's bedroom, the bathroom, and the girl's bedroom, just because I didn't want to put the laundry baskets in the specific bedrooms. I just thought that I wasn't too sure what to put out on, I guess we could call it like a landing, hallway, whatever. I didn't really know what to put out there, so I thought putting the wash baskets out there was a nice like use of space rather than having another like unit or something out there. So I do that. So one of them's like specifically for the girls, and then one of them's for the dad if he has like, you know, he's at work and he gets his clothes like super like dirty or dusty or whatever. I didn't want to mix them. But again, that's me thinking like way too realistic into this, which is so weird. So then when I'm done with the dad's bedroom, I move on to the garden, and the garden is actually pretty big. It is closed off. I've definitely used the gate. On one side it has on one side the fence has a gate, and then the other side the fence is just like a fence. That's the side where when I go around there in the tour and stuff, you'll be able to see that I've tried to make it as if there's like some building supplies there. It's a little bit overtaken with weeds and rubble, and he's put some cones up so like he doesn't want his kids to go around there and mess around. Maybe that is a part of the house where he is contemplating building an extension, so when the kids get older, like only two of them need to share a room, or maybe they can all have their individual rooms and stuff. But I thought that that was a cool little realistic kind of touch to make it seem like there's a section of the garden where he doesn't want the kids to go around because they could get hurt, and if his job is like a carpenter or a builder or something like that, then he could definitely potentially build an extension on the side of the house to make it a little bit more roomy and give the kids their own bedrooms as they grow up. But you guys will see that through the tour. But the bulk of the garden is actually quite big. So there's a pretty big sort of deck with a like sofa, table, two chairs. Again, I've made them mismatched, so trying to, you know, still have the inside come to the outside in the fact that not everything's going to be matching. Some things are potentially secondhand, or maybe they're things that he's made himself, that kind of stuff. And then I do put in one of the, and they're like one of the egg chair seats. I don't really know like the proper name for it, but they're on like the stand and they're kind of like springy, if you know the one. In House Over 2, we've got ones that hang from, or that can hang from the ceiling, and then we've got a couple of sort of like a standalone ones. I put one of those on the deck as well, and then the rest of the garden, I mean, gardens have never really been my strong suit. I say it a lot. Gardens are like the thing that I struggle with a lot because I just never really know a good layout or anything. But as this one was like a single dad with 3 kids, I wanted it to be very sort of like orientated around having lots of things for the kids to play with if they went outside. So I do put in a pool. It's just like the standing pool. It's not like a built-in one or anything. And then there's a sand pit, a slide, and a little like what do you call it? It's not like a doll's house, like a little playhouse type thing. There's also a trampoline, a swing set, and then there's also a swing seat, if that makes sense. And then there's a hammock. So like there's a lot going on in the garden. I'm hoping it all comes together. I'm hoping that it does come together as like one big like cohesive garden, but because they're kind of all like scattered around, I'm hoping that it doesn't look like it's too much of like 2 individual things. But I wanted the garden to have a lot of stuff in it, like, you know, just things for the kids to like play with and different things like that. Maybe he does have like friends over sometimes, or like things like that. He has other family members that have kids and they can all come around and like have a barbecue in the garden and stuff. So there's like lots of things everywhere. There's some pool floaties as well, and yeah, there's stepping stones going from the gate at the front of the at the front of the house, around the side to the back of the house. But the garden is very big. The garden's kind of like a U shape with the deck in the middle, so like it goes down the sides of the house as well. But yeah, I don't want to. There's not like tons and tons of plants that go into the garden. There's a few trees. There's a few like bushy areas. A few like built up plant areas, and then there's also some weeds and like stones and stuff like that that I put in the garden, so that it's not like super it's not kept really well. Like he mows the lawn and everything to keep like maintenance on the garden kind of low, but there are definitely some weeds and stuff that have started to creep into the bushes and different things like that. So I tried to make it feel, again, like not super perfect and like super maintained, just like simple maintenance. But yeah, and then around the side there's like a lot of rubble and stuff. I do put in a barbecue as well, and then a picnic bench that's also on the deck. The deck is actually like huge. I feel like maybe I could have probably made the garden a little bit smaller, but I think, I don't know, I think the shape of the house makes the garden the shape that it is, if that makes sense, because I wouldn't want the what is it, the fence to the garden starting like way back at the house. I like it to start towards the front of the house, especially if those like sides of the house have windows on it. Like the bathroom section of the house has a window that side of the house in the garden is the side where I've put like a bunch of rubble and weeds and stuff like that. So he's contemplating maybe sticking in an extension or something like that, or even just like an extension to make the girls' room bigger. Again, don't know. I'm thinking about a little bit too much into this, but that side of the house has a window. Like the bathroom has a window out like that side, and I don't like the idea of the fence being sort of like pushed back towards the back of the house. So the window to the bathroom is technically sort of like in the front garden. I don't know if that makes any sense to you whatsoever. I hope that it does. If it doesn't, it's fine. It's not a big deal. It's just the way that I think about it. So I definitely knew that I wanted to bring the fence to the garden, so like to the very front of the property. The side that is the garage side, I probably could have pushed the fence to that like back towards the back garden, because the windows on that side are only the windows for the garage, which aren't like super important. You know, the garage doesn't need to be like super private, but I wanted the fence to be sort of like even on both sides. So yeah, the garden is kind of a U shape, and it's got a lot of stuff in it. I'm just hoping that it has come together well enough to also go with the theme. I hope. Anyway, do let me know in the comments what you think of the garden, what you would have done with the garden. I'd love to know what you would have done with the garden differently, but gardens are definitely not they're definitely not a strong suit. I feel like I can do them, especially if I have a specific theme or something in mind, like the oh, what was it, the English cottage that I did. I would really like to do another one of those at some point, but that one, I knew I was thinking like English cottage. I wanted like lots and lots of flowers and stuff like that, so that I kind of like knew what I wanted. So I wanted a ton of flowers in it. Like I literally wanted the whole garden just be full of flowers, every little like section to have flowers in it. And there was just like small areas where you had like a little seating area and stuff like that. So I really like how that one turned out, and that garden was okay. But for this one, and I think it's the theme for the house and everything, trying to make it feel not so like very pristine and very like well maintained and stuff like that. Like things do get a little bit out of hand. I didn't want to go too much with the like foliage and flowers and stuff like that, but the front of the house definitely does have a lot more flowers and bushes and stuff than the back. But the garden is what it is. Do let me know what you think about it and if it goes with the theme and stuff. But yeah, that is this build. So I really hope that you guys enjoy the rest of it. As always, there's timestamps in the description if you would like to skip around at all, skip to the tour, a specific room, anything like that. Just thank you so much for taking the time to check out this video. I appreciate you so much. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, check out some of my other builds as well if you would like to after this one. Don't forget to leave a comment, let me know what you think of the build. I love hearing from you guys, so thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care, bye!